Hello, boys and girls, water cooling fans of all ages. She's done. So, not my best cabling job there ever. Let me walk you through it. So, of course, we got the 240 rad up the front there. We'll see that from the other side. We have my Intel 240. That's a 520 series SSD. And my 1 terabyte Samsung Evo. And then my clutter of cables. So, what I did here is I'm running the front fans off of an internal header, and I'm running the 3 top fans off of the built-in controller because, they're really quiet. It goes 5 volt, 7 volt, or 11 volt, I think. 12 volt. That was close. And I can run it off of there. So, yeah, see? And it's nice, easy access to if I want to ramp it up or not. But most of the time, I'm not going to need it. And that runs the top 3 fans. So they'll just run at 5 volt, which is quiet. Enough airflow. And there's the 24 pin rolling by. Let's take a look around the other side, eh? Okay, so what do we have here? We have the 360 rad with 3 120 SPs from Corsair. They're the silent, and those go to the up there. We have the XSPC Raytheon water block. We have a 140 series, that's the airflow silent in the front there. Stealth away behind here, we have my reservoir and the XSPC D5 Vario pump. So just a rebranded SwiftTech really. There we have the 2 Radeon R9 290s. Crossfire. Looking sexy with their XSPC water blocks and the XSPC bridge. And of course the nice thing here is no Crossfire thingy needed because they're the newer chipset. There's that big old 240 rad. And of course the Fractal Design 1000 watt Newton. Don't let that fall and hit you on the head, boys and girls. So, I know the first thing that everybody's going to say is like, oh my god, you should, fix the cables. They don't look 100% black. And yeah, guys, frankly, first water cooling build. I am extremely pleased with how the loop turned out. I did not do the built-in water block on the Asus board. After doing enough actual scientific research, even with the coating that they put on it, I just didn't feel comfortable running it. It's just not worth it. It would be nice if Asus is going to include a water block. Just guys, if you're going to do it, copper, please. Or else just don't put it on there because it's worthless to most of us that water cool. So anyways, that's about it around the front here. Woo! Oh, so sideways. It looks right to me, though. Obviously, you can't see it up there, which is that. So, 4770K, 16 gigs of 2133 Dominator Platinum. Let's see. I will be maybe putting the LED lights in the XSPC water blocks and in the CPU water block up there. Okay, so at the end of the day, I'm happy with this build. It's my first water cooling build, and I'm sure you guys are going to have a million comments about things you think I should have done differently. But, frankly, I want to hear them. Put them down in the comments, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to care. It's my system. Every system's personal. And sure, we can all learn, but at the end of the day, I'm actually really happy with how this build turned out. Now, granted, it's my first water cooling build. It will not be my last water cooling build, and it probably won't be very long between this one and my next water cooling build. That said, let's do some of the things I like, the things I don't like, and the things I would never do again. So, things I like. The R9 290s. Awesome cards. Sounded like frickin' vacuum cleaners before I put the water blocks on them. Love them with the water blocks on them. They're so, obviously they're silent because only the system fans, the rad fans are running. But they overclock, well for a reference card. And these are actually pretty early reference cards as well. I got, like a 1200 megahertz overclock on them, just a little bit less than that. Scored a 4300 on Valley, which, not bad. It's not the top, but not bad at the same time. And the system is dead quiet. So the front fans, they're on the motherboard header. They're set to start ramping up at like 45 degrees. They almost never turn on. The top fans are on that fan controller. They always run at 5 volts. I've never had to turn them up. And the hottest I've ever seen the GPUs or the CPU get, the loop itself, is 64 degrees. So that's crazy, especially when you have, those Hawaii chips in their reference design are set to run at 100% at 90 degrees. So the whole system, cooling the CPU and both of those GPUs, is never getting over 64 degrees. Like, that's just blows my mind. Like, love the fans, of course. The Noctuas, the new Noctuas are coming out, but these SP120s, the Silence, the Quiets, are just still awesome fans. I love the black and white theme I did. I love, the rings and everything. I don't know. I just like what it looked like. I love that Newton power supply. It's really, really, really quiet. The fan almost never turns on. Like, it's just kind of ridiculous. And, I just like the look of the build. Like, I'm proud to show it off. I really like the stealth bay reservoir. So the stuff I don't like, obviously the red on the motherboard doesn't really fit the theme, but at the same time, it is the best, or one of the best Z87 motherboards, and the Z97 stuff just came out, so I might upgrade at some point to a Z97 board. We'll see. Maybe an EVGA board. Hey Jacob, it's all black. That's all I apparently care about. Besides stable drivers and a good tool set and all the other stuff you get with Asus hardware. The other things that I'm not a huge fan of, the sleeving on the Newton. I mean, you have a $250 power supply, 1000 watt. The thing is just a rock star. And then it kind of gets let down by the sleeving. So, that's really something. Maybe you don't need to fix the sleeving so much as if it just used all black cables, that would be cool. Little things like that. I should have sleeved the pump cable, but I got lazy at the end and did not, and it's kind of just tucked away and kind of out of view unless you're looking for it, so nobody's ever going to notice but me. The pump res, that's the thing I think that I would definitely do something different. So let's get into things I wouldn't do again. That pump res combo, for sure. Really, really hard to tell when you're going to run the pump dry. I almost did it once. Like, I caught it right as it was about to go dry. Really hard to tell when you were getting to the point on the reservoir where it was going to stop pulling from, because there's no markings on the reservoir. It's just really dim-witted kind of design. If you're going to do a pump res combo like this with the bay, buy the completely clear ones, because you can see the pump, you can see the inlet for the pump, and you can see your fluid levels. And especially when, like, I stealthed it like this, I don't need that, brushed aluminum look on it. I should have just bought the clear one, but, hindsight's 2020. The other things, the tubing. So it looks awesome and is a complete pain in the ass. It's thick-walled. It's really hard to cut, even with a tubing cutter, because halfway through the build, I just gave up trying to cut it with scissors and bought a tubing cutter, which helped some, but I was still cleaning up every cut with an X-Acto knife. So tubing the system took like 3 times longer than it probably should have. The other thing is, I would definitely do more research on what angle fittings I need ahead of time and buy them all together, because I was trying to kind of piecemeal things as I went along and didn't, this first water cooling build, and this is where, you got to learn from experience. But the biggest thing I took away was I could have used all chrome fittings, which are, one, cheaper, and 2, easier to find because the kind of like gunmetal black chrome, even though they look awesome, when you put a smoked side cover on a case, yeah, you can't tell the difference. Also, I would probably go with, look ahead of time. What really caught me off guard was, I was using XSPC fittings for everything, and they look awesome. They work really, really well. And I went like, oh, I need some 45s and some 90s. It's like, oh, I can find the 45s, but the 90s are out of stock everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Like, called XSPC. None. Like, just none. They're not making them. I don't know if they stopped producing them. But I would definitely buy all the fittings up front next time. Even if I wound up with some extras, at least that way I would make sure that I had enough stock to do the things that I wanted to do. And sure that, like I said, it's going to make it cost more. But at the end of the day, I spent a lot of time waiting for parts and a lot of time trying to find parts. And that, how much my time's worth, a decent amount of money. And I probably spent 10 to 15 hours just trying to source the fittings because I got halfway through the build and then screwed myself because I couldn't find fittings that matched. And I didn't want to rebuy all the fittings that I had already bought. I would have rather have overbought. So that's the big one. I think that the biggest takeaway for me is just, when you've never done it, the foresight is hard to know, kind of the order of things you need to source stuff in. I kind of bought things out of the order that I probably should have. And, just like planning is hard when, like I was building a system that wasn't already built, right? So I'm buying all of the parts for the system and the water cooling parts all at the same time. What I really probably should have done was bought all the parts for the system, air cooled it for a while, let it run, and then water cooled it after, and bought the water cooling parts after I've lived with the system for a while, just because I didn't know what I was doing. Like if I did it all over again, it would be easy because I know, like the order I need to buy things in, how to check out the cases and look at things, and like once you've like fiddled with a case for enough hours, like I can kind of look at cases now and say, oh yeah, that 270 tube reservoir, there's no way that's going to fit in that case. And just like now I understand the size of things and the spacing that's needed. That's the fun in doing something for the first time. So would I recommend you guys do this? Absolutely. I cannot stress enough how quiet this system is and the performance I'm getting out of it. Like I really feel like even though, I probably spent $500 to $600 on parts, just the water cooling loop itself, most of those parts, you're going to be able to reuse, like the radiators, the fittings, stuff like that. It's going to be reusable. The blocks on the cards, those are going to live with those cards forever. But at the same time, the stock speed on the 290s was 943 megahertz. And I pushed it all the way up to almost 1200. So I put a 250 megahertz, overclock on each card. So that's a quarter or more performance, 25% or more performance on top of what I was going to get. So when you start looking at it that way, like sure, I spent, $100 a block to water cool this, but I get really, really cool temperatures. I get no vacuum cleaner effect, and I get a performance boost that is kind of more than it would cost to buy a better card. So at the end of the day, I think, it's not great value to money, but if you get stuff that can overclock decently well and you utilize it, then it's worth it because you're getting the performance that you're paying for, if that makes sense. Yeah. So anyways, guys, I hope you liked the build. I did put a lot of time into it. Like I said, I know everybody does stuff a little differently. So go ahead and post down in the comments what you like and what you don't like. Thumbs up if you like this video. Thumbs down if you don't. And if you don't, go to hell, because it's my personal build. I'm really hurt. Deep down inside, I'm crying. Not really. You can thumbs down all you want. I don't care. Check out my affiliate links. Thanks for watching. This is Tim for TimmyTechTV. We'll see you guys next time.